All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a couple really awesome guests. I am here with Eruj and Furzaan Abidi. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, Zach. How are you doing yourself?
Good, doing well. Thanks for
Doing pretty
asking.
good, thank you, man.
Good, good. Yeah, glad to have you guys. And to anyone that's listening to the podcast, we're actually making some history right now. It's almost been 2 years that we've had this podcast run, and this is the first time that there's multiple guests on the show at a time. So super stoked for that. It's going to be a really cool experience. But yeah, so I mentioned I have the BD brothers on the podcast tonight. They are both a part of their company Vengeful, which is a clothing company that is surrounded around sports, and it's a really cool company that I discovered probably maybe like 6 months or so ago, and just I love their designs. I love what they're about. So I'm really excited to have them on and to hear a bit about the business and just kind of what they're up to.
Yeah, thank you for
For
having
sure,
me,
man.
Zach.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you
I'm
so
glad
much.
we
course.
got to
Thank you.
connect.
Of
I'm
course.
honored
Connect a little.
to help you make history with the having the first people to be two guests on here. That's a big honor.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to have you guys on. So,
Thank you, man.
super stoked. And I know I kind of gave the listeners a little introduction about what you guys are doing with Vengeful, but do you mind giving me kind of an intro on yourself? Let the audience know who you guys are, what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so currently we actually started in, I think, November. Our first collection actually came out in December. So obviously it's been in fruition for about 6, 7 months, but I think that right now we're just trying to tailor collections based on what's going on in both the sports and the TV industry. I think that's something we've always been very interested in, and it's just kind of something that goes along with what we're doing. So obviously, we put the Detroit in the name to always pay homage to the city. I think that it is a very untapped market. I feel like the passion for fashion and just the passion for the city runs deep and runs rampant, not even in the city, but just the state and in the whole Midwest. I feel like a lot of individuals, a lot of things are, I mean, you even go to Chicago and you'll see like a University of Michigan bar at
Mm-hmm.
DePaul. And I think that it's a way to connect with people. I think obviously fashion is, and a lot of people have that personal branding and just fashion. You'll see a lot of like a plethora of designer brands have their own style, their own just niche. But I think that just connecting through being Michiganders is something that was really big, and that's kind of why we wanted to start just at a like a level front.
Okay. Got it. And now, do you guys have any background in clothing or apparel, or was that just kind of something that you guys thought would be cool to do?
Um, well, I guess I can take this question. So in terms of having any background, I wouldn't say background necessarily, but we've always been heavily like very interested and invested in just the fashion. And I remember like for me at least a big inspiration of mine was going back to like I don't know if you're familiar with like the when Kanye West used to do like the Yeezy season 1 and
Yeah.
like 2 fashion shows. I always used to look at that and be like, wow, like this guy, like, he does kind of whatever he puts his mind to. And like, if it made me really like fascinated with just fashion in general. So then from there, I started to like look into like various designers and like, see what type of garments they had, how they went about their processes. And I just found it to be something that was very interesting. And I never really thought I was going to put it into motion until my brother and I kind of came together and realized we had like a very very unique and similar vision to what we wanted to accomplish with this brand, and just with branching out into doing clothing in general. So then I think that's kind of what inspired me and what got this kind of going and set into motion.
Okay. Awesome. And I know that you mentioned that you have different collections that you released, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the direction that you go. And what led you guys to want to have collections versus just like having an open storefront where it's always the same stuff, you can get it anytime? Why did you want to go the collection route?
I think the reason we wanted to mainly go the collection route, and just to start off with at least, was mostly just to promote that limited product, that kind of scarcity. We'll want to
Hmm.
pride ourselves on exclusivity and want to make sure everyone does kind of have a chance at the product. So we have various facets such as having a limited release or like a server only release. We have like Discord, we have another server on our website, in our messages, SMS, email. So we wanted to kind of create that, like I keep speaking and reiterating about personal branding.
Hmm.
And I think that was just a perfect opportunity to kind of do that. Our collections are very pertinent to what's going on, as I said. So, for
Yeah.
example, right now it's been mostly basketball, football based, but our first
Hmm.
collection actually maybe had a couple shirts related to Detroit and or Michigan. But the way we kind of got started in it, I don't know if I mentioned to you, was Bad Bunny, who's a Latin artist. His tour team reached out to us and they wanted us to create something because we actually pitched an idea in their comments. We've always wanted to start a clothing collection, a clothing brand. And I feel like a lot of it is a nice creative outlet. And I mean, just saying nice about that is kind of an understatement. I feel like a lot of people want an outlet to use and just for their artistic expression, such as music, such as a podcast, such as painting, journaling, clothing brand, whatever, what have you. And I feel like this was ours, but we had no idea how to go about it. So we kind of had to self teach ourselves in the winter, and it gets brutally cold over here. So we just took a couple months to lock in and just hibernate and teach ourselves everything.
So everything up to this point, it's all self-taught.
A lot of it's self-taught.
Wow.
We've had a plethora of mentors, and we've
Okay.
had just some people who have come before us who have done it. And I think that, or not just done it specifically, but kind of have just helped us along the way. And people in different industries have helped us, and so that assistance is more than beneficial. But I think that yeah, definitely in the winter. I think like I had just graduated. I went to Wayne State University, and just seeing how big the Detroit. I mean, there's a lot of promise in Detroit sports. I know it feels like we've been saying that for quite a while, but
Yeah.
there really is. I mean, with the Lions right now, we had our first Lions collection, our Detroit-based collection with the Lions, and that did really well. So it's just really it's exciting to see something that you've always believed in as a child, like as in something as trivial as like a sports team, and them just doing so well. Are everyone just recognizing and wearing that? I think especially that's very
Yeah.
important and essential.
That is awesome. And I have to say, I think you and I connected for the first time shortly after that Lions connection. So I'm gonna need you to have to
Yeah,
bring that back or something someday in the
yeah,
future
yeah,
because
yeah.
I was
No,
like, man, I need
Oh
to get
yeah,
some of that because it's sweet.
yeah.
it's for sure gonna make a return at some point for sure. We got to bring
Okay.
that back.
And I think the way we
Awesome.
connected through you was actually I saw that I think Deuce was on your podcast, Downtown
Yeah.
Deuce,
Yeah.
and yeah, we had heard his song at the Pistons game, and my uncle actually introduced us to him. So that was awesome. Yeah, and he's been, I mean, just trying to connect with everybody that's not only putting on for the city, but actually really doing stuff for the city and has been doing it for some time is really
Yeah.
just amazing, to say the
Yeah.
least.
No, I agree, and I think that's a great thing about Deuce. Shout out to Deuce and you guys as well, just with what you're doing with your company. It's just really giving that kind of recognition to Detroit. And I know, like you said, you've had collections that aren't necessarily Detroit or Michigan based or focused, and
Mm.
that's okay. But like at the roots, the first collection, the Lions, you're gonna bring stuff like that back. You want to represent the city. I think that's huge because,
Mhm.
I mean, if you don't live in Michigan, a lot of people kind of write off Detroit or
Yeah,
write off our state, in general. So it's cool to have that kind of respect on the name.
100%. I totally agree.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we might have lost one of the brothers, but
Yeah,
well, it looks like we'll keep rolling, and he
yeah.
might
Keep
join
rolling.
us again.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I think it's really cool, and when it comes to the designs for the collections, is that something that you're heavily involved with the creative process for that?
Um, no, I think we're totally involved in the creative process. I think
Okay.
that my we have another partner,
Hmm.
and he lives like right here in the neighborhood where I do. I grew up with him. He's an amazing guy. But we quickly learned that it's not going to just be designing and trying to put it on a garment and whatnot. It's actually I mean, it actually took us months to sort out the legalities and just bring everything to its full and true form. And even still, I feel like through and through these collections and through and through these garments that we're making and designing, we have learned so much more. And this collection that we just released, this Denver-based collection, I think just a couple days ago,
Hmm.
I talked to Furzaan about it today, and I was like, I wish that we knew making that what we know then, because there's so many different parts of it. For example, like that people who purchase the garment, you have to also look at it from a consumer standpoint, because the
Hmm.
general consumer won't have any idea what goes into printing, what goes into the timetable. You just need to think about it from their point of view and what's going to be appealing and what's going to give them the best experience shopping at your store, and having that just entire mindset when going through your just. So I know that like our yeah, so we kind of went into it with that.
Okay.
But as far as the design process, we are heavily involved in that, and the idea really just stems from what's going on at the time. I think our favorite collection that we did was the Lions, but our biggest had to be the Kevin Durant one when he just got traded to Phoenix.
Okay.
And I think that we kind of just, the whole reason we started the brand was we wanted to design stuff that we've always wanted to bring that no one else was making. We just wanted to, for example, like the Kevin, we always used to think like, what if? Like if there's an NBA trade that happens, and obviously the NBA free agency period is unbelievable with different trades, and every sport is kind of like that. There's movies coming out, there's shows. We kind of, are you into any shows or movies yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big kind of movie, TV show kind of person. A lot of wide varieties. Kind of a little basic, and I like a lot of the kind of popular stuff, but all good stuff.
What are a few examples, like movies that have come out recently, your all-time favorites?
Oh man, I'm big into kind of like superhero stuff, so I love all
Sure.
Marvel movies.
For
DC
sure.
movies are really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of times where we wish we could go back and be like, wow, like I wish we made a design for that. So a couple of days ago, we were actually saying like, wow, for Robert Pattinson's Batman, I really wish we did something for that. Or for
Yeah.
Oppenheimer coming up, we keep hearing from people to make something about that, and the Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan movies and what have you. So it's always, there's always so many ideas that come to our head. Like we'll be up at 4 to 6 a.m. just designing and thinking, trying to get the sketch work and the groundwork laid out for different designs. So yeah, that's to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So, like if you're trying to complete a collection, like how much time does it take for you to actually go from like here's an idea to when it's coming out? Like if like something breaking news in sports happens tonight, it's like, are you going to be able to get it out there soon, or does it take a long time to get out there?
So I guess I can like I can bring back this example for because it was not a recent, I guess it was like 2 months ago now, but for example, when we were kind of on a call in general, like just talking about business things and just things in general that we wanted to set in motion, and like upcoming collections and whatnot. And I don't know how much of a basketball fan you are, but I remember that night when Kevin Durant got traded to Phoenix. It happened around, I think, 1 a.m., 1:30
Yeah.
a.m. So at least at where we are, it was like 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. So we kind of jumped into action like that night and kind of started immediately once we saw that happen. It kind of varies, I guess, because it was like a spur of the moment decision where we
Mhm.
saw that happen and it just clicked in all of our minds. We were like, yeah, we need to make something for this like now. So we kind of started brainstorming ideas, like bouncing ideas off of each other about like what would look good in certain places on the design, like what we would make the design. And I think by sometimes it can take a few days, maybe even a few hours, but I think at that point that was one of the times where we kind of just knew like immediately what we wanted to have on the design. And I
Okay.
think by the end of that night, like by like 2-3 hours, maybe 2 hours, it was like we knew like what we wanted to have. So, and then other times it can take like like I said, it can take maybe a day or two to like fully formulate a design, like because
Mhm.
the last thing we want to do is rush it, like we'll have it done in a timely manner. Like it doesn't take us too long between like the time of like having the idea to like kind of putting it down and like making the design, and then like making like putting it out there and all that. But sometimes it does take longer than others. But like for example, for this last KD one, we kind of just knew. And
Mhm.
sometimes it kind of just all falls into place like that, and other times it might take a little longer.
Yeah.
And
So yeah.
to give some specificity, the Durant trade I think happened February 9th.
Okay.
and we had previewed that collection on February 19th, to drop on February 24th. So it was about 10 days, give or take. The only thing really is that you need to figure out maybe what colors you're going to do it on. You have to figure out how many colors are in the design, because a lot of what goes into our printing process is how many colors actually are on the design. And that it really differs for black or white too. So we had a bit of a learning curve, as I said. We had to learn all of this, and we thought it was all designing at first, but really going through the motions taught us more than we could ever imagine about both having a company and having a brand and building that from the ground up and just putting out shirts. I mean, to say the least. But that's typically our KD collection. When something like that happens and you want to put it out faster than fast, it was made to order. Not every collection has been like that. We actually have 2 pop-ups coming up at the end of April where we're going to have completely Detroit-based stuff, and those had to be made to order. So we had to think a little bit ahead of time. So really it depends. This Nicola Jokic one, Jokic, obviously. I know, Zach, you're a basketball fan.
Yeah.
Completely. Jokic, I think, is a hugely underrated superstar. I mean, he's 100%. Not the flashiest we've ever seen. But we actually made this design when we went to Denver on a trip in December. And we were like, we love the culture here. We love the atmosphere. I think it'd be cool to make this. But you don't really, Denver is such an untapped market as well. We like to talk about Detroit, but I promise you, like, Denver is, as a number 1 seed, they are the most untapped market that's ever been. And even trying to, like, market our stuff there, or talking to individuals from there, there's way more Detroit fanatics and fans in general than Denver completely. And I guarantee you, if we were even like a playoff team, Little Caesars will be sold out every single night.
Oh yeah.
And they're a 1 seed, and it's still hard for them. So I definitely, but like the fans there have been unbelievable, and Phoenix was amazing as well. So it's nice in that we do travel a lot, and that's why we wanted that experience with different markets.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because I mean, obviously, like we've talked about, you guys are paying homage to Detroit, but I know I've seen you guys are traveling and going places and experiencing different areas and cities, and I think it's cool that you're kind of taking those experiences and putting it in the brand, right? Like you said, Phoenix, Denver. I think it's cool and it makes it special. And at the end of the day, like, right, you're selling shirts and stuff, which consumers like and they want and everything. But I think at the end of the day, like, you're doing this business for you guys, right? Like it's your life, it's your journey, it's your kind of just pride and joy. So it's like, why not just see where you can go in life and make those kind of experiences and just be like, hey, Denver was sweet. Like, people might not be as crazy about Jokic as they are about Durant, but like, this is going to be sweet. We're going to love it, and we can stand behind it.
Yeah, and I think the first thing we even said was we created it for ourselves to create designs that we've always wanted. And we felt like no one was actually doing that for someone who was going to be a 3-time MVP or was about to be. I think Embiid is going to win it this year. But like I said, when we created that design in December, we were hell-bent on the fact that Jokic was going to win his 3rd, just the way he was playing. But the NBA skill gap is like the NBA skill level is just unbelievable now.
It is.
And I was going to ask you, if you had to make a design of one player in history, past, present, future, anything, what would you say? Like, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Oh man,
that's a really tough question.
Actually, from any sport.
From any sport, dude, you're just making it more and more complicated. Oh man, so when you first asked the question, I was thinking strictly basketball.
Sure.
And with that, the first thing that came to mind, I mean, as a Pistons fan, someone that's grown up throughout, my 27 years as a Pistons fan, I have to say, like, the 04 Pistons with just Chauncey, Rip, Sheed, Tayshaun, Ben Wallace, like something with all of them on one, just like some really cool design would be awesome. So that's kind of what I would think. Kind of going towards the modern day NBA, I'm a big fan of Giannis, so I feel like that would be cool. And I personally don't think I've seen too much stuff with him. I mean, as popular as he is, so that'd be cool. But when you did open it up to say any sport, the one that came to mind, the athlete that came to mind right away was Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm a big fan of Ken Griffey Jr. and just at that time in his career, he just had that kind of swagger that I think is awesome. And when I think of you guys, Vengeful, I think of kind of that, like, you have that swagger, that feel like it. You put this on, you're making a fashion statement. You're looking good. You're dressing the part. You're repping your team, your players. So I think that'd be a cool one. for
Yeah.
sure.
Speaking of 04 Pistons, we have something coming for you this month. So I'll get that out to you. Just let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll give you a little sneak peek right after this.
Oh man, I'm hyped for that now.
But
Even
I remember. So we live right in the greater Detroit area. We live by Great Lakes a little bit.
Okay.
So I remember distinctly. I used to actually live in Windsor, Ontario.
Yeah.
Between like
Yeah.
Detroit and that, and all we used to see is the Palace. That's all we used to hear about.
Yeah.
And every day, we used to have season tickets and just go to the Palace. And I still vividly remember like going as I was a child, like exit 81, just growing up, seeing the Palace and seeing
Yeah.
it over that hill. It was really important to us throughout the whole championship run and all of that. And I used to love everything from the energy they used to get walking or driving to it, to the player intros, to just the energy of the crowd. And I mean, opposing players, like actually used to be scared to play there.
Yeah.
And I remember even from like to like team hotel when the Lakers were playing and teams would be playing, like the Pistons fans weren't standing outside to get autographs like other teams do. They were booing the players
Right.
to sleep, you know? So, I mean, that's the thing I love about Detroit. And I mean, the reason we decided to make Alliance Design was because they've been embodying what we're all about, just the grit and the tenacity. And throughout the generations, we've always had that. And I think it's just synonymous with the city.
For sure. And I mean, like, kind of going off that, just out of like, you've had these collections, you've had, the Lions, you've had specific players. Do you guys have any like aspirations or desires to like do a specific partnership with a specific individual? Like, is that something that's you've thought of, that's in the works, or is that kind of like, if it happens, it happens, but it's not really a main focus?
I think 100% we've wanted to do that, but it's just it's sometimes it's a little bit more challenging to get two players and try to like collaborate with them, but it's definitely something we want to do and we plan to do in the future. I think here and there we've had a few things like kind of in the works, but it takes a bit more to come to fruition. So like there's a lot of moving pieces there. So hopefully those can see the light of day sometime, but we have to work some things out before
For
that.
sure.
I think even partnerships with players and teams, I think that the main thing we'd want to do and attempt to do is connect with a player maybe. And before we even think about what we're going to put in the design, if we're able to connect with a player and kind of work towards something that's important in their life, for example, if they have a cause or a donation they want to give back to, for example, like when the Lions design happened, it's kind of funny you asked that question about how long a collection takes, because our Lions one, we kind of sit on stuff sometimes and wait almost to a fault. We had it ready, I think, around 2 weeks before the end of the season. But we were just like, the playoffs are looking a little iffy. There was about like a 40-50% chance. So we were like, wow, we've had this done, but do we even release it? And obviously when they beat the Packers, we released it like a week before everyone was on a high. Hamlin injury happened that week. And I think a big talk was, do we even postpone this? How do we go around it? And obviously when we release, it's like having a family. We like to call it Vengeful Family. Like if you even look on our page, one of our story highlights is Vengeful Family, because we like to consider truly everyone who buys one of our garments and purchases one of those family. Everyone's collectively repping a movement and something we've always been building towards. And the reason we called it Vengeful, I mean, something that's popping in my head is really just because Detroit. I think that, like you said, we're always counted out. We've always been counted out. And it's crazy being one of the main cities that built America from the ground up, automobile and just industrially. I think that we should never be counted out. We should be the ones counting other people out, honestly. And I think that that's really where that came from. So we had to decide whether or not to put that collection out. And like I said, it's a family. You guys will always have love for one another and you'll always appreciate each other. But sometimes there are discrepancies. And in a family, people were like, oh, yeah, you guys are maybe like the Mar Hamlin thing is not at the right time. Maybe you're trying to profit off that. But it was nothing like that. It was more like if we don't show light to a situation and use that platform to show light to what's going on in that league at the certain time. And this can happen in any league. But the football world was all together. I mean, you saw how the Bengals and the Bills were just bonding. I mean, football
Mm-hmm.
all came together at that point. Sports did as a whole. So I think that was very, very important to show that in that time. And I feel like that's the least we could do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And now you mentioned that, you have the vengeful family and that you have that family feel. So kind of building off that, you guys are brothers, of course. So,
Yeah.
you're working directly with your family, and you mentioned your other partner that you have, and it sounds like, he's probably a close friend or a good friend that you all have known for a while. So
Yeah.
how has that been like? Has it been challenging to work with people that you're so close to, or has it just been smooth because you guys get each other and you all have the same passion and interest in what you're doing?
Um, to be honest, I think it's been great to this point. Obviously, sometimes we have differing opinions or different visions,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, we're all family. We all like come to a unified front at the end of the day. And I feel like it's some people say, don't mix friends or family with
Hmm.
business, and like don't mix business with pleasure. And to that, I guess I'd say like that's not always how it has to be. If you, I feel like if you guys are, mature enough and you've known each other for a while to the point where it's like to the point where even friends become like family. I think that working together with those people to once you find out you have a similar vision, if not the same vision for what you want to accomplish, working with those people becomes less of work and more of just like trying to go closer to your dream, every day, like achieving your dreams. And I
Mhm.
feel like when you get to that point, it's just amazing to be working with people that not only you've known for a while, but people that share the same vision as you and just happen to be your friends at the end of the day. So I
Yeah.
think it's worked out very good to this point.
When you're kind of applying for a corporate job and they have that assessment they have you take, and
Hmm.
it kind of says, how do you work well with a team? And if someone has like a kind of contrasting opinion, are you going to speak up? And you're always like a little hesitant because you're like, okay, like what do they want me to say? I feel like in this case it's been very easy because we already know each other's ins and outs and what we like, what we don't like, maybe what we prefer, and we're not afraid to speak up. A lot of the times, obviously, even individuals who say they aren't afraid to speak up in a corporate settings with higher ups and what have you, it does get a little daunting. So I feel like that's never been a factor in this case. So I feel like comfortability is important, and that's what we've had.
Yeah. That's great. I love to hear that. And I think that you guys brought up a good point that, people say that there's that age old, saying like, don't mix personal and business, or,
Yeah,
business and pleasure. But I think it's like when you have the right group, it's like you shouldn't have to worry about it. Like just
yeah,
be smart, be selective, and just know that there's probably going to be some times where you butt heads and there's maybe some tension or disagreements, but that
Yeah.
doesn't have to ruin,
a
a
hundred.
connection
Yeah,
or anything.
yeah. I think a big thing we live by. A lot of the times we do music artists as well. Someone who's
Yeah.
played either a big impact in our life or is doing huge right now. We're into Latin music, so we might have a few of those things coming, which is a pretty untapped market, if you ask me. But a lot of
Hmm.
people in our current market doesn't know about it. So we have designs ready, but we've tackled with doing that and whatnot. Um, but Drake one time, I think, well, I feel like there's a Drake line for every situation.
Yeah.
One I live by is he said, "The moment I stop having fun with it, I'll be done with it." And I kind of live by that because we started this having fun, and
Hmm.
at some points where it gets aggravating or agitating, I at least take a step back, and I look at that and I'm like, okay, like, are we really having fun with this? Like, are we doing what we set out to do? And
Yeah.
it kind of really not only motivates me, but inspires me to just still have fun with it. And I feel like at the end of every day, like I feel like everyone should be doing what they love and what they have fun with because we only do have one life. And
Right.
I feel like at the end of the day, the only thing we have back to look on are our memories and our legacy that we lead. So that's important.
It
Yeah.
is, for sure. And hey, another Drake line, "You only live once," right?
Yeah.
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 But no, I mean, I think that's a great point, and like that's honestly the whole point of this podcast, right? Just going after your passions and doing what you love, and life is too short to put your passion to the side or to not focus your energy on the things that make you happy or get you excited. So I think that's a great point. Like you
Yeah.
got to have fun with life. I mean, yeah, we have responsibilities and all that stuff, but still,
Mhm.
I think it's definitely possible to mix both and have fun while you're being responsible or whatever.
Yeah.
And just really making sure that you spend that time doing what you love, because as soon as you look away and blink, years have gone by and you don't want to live with any regret.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Awesome. So I know you guys have talked about, kind of like the logistics, what goes into the company and just running your business. But, what's maybe something that has been challenging or is challenging for you guys that someone listening might not even have thought of when it comes to owning a business and running one?
Well, I guess maybe a part that I would bring up is, I guess, timing,
Okay.
because timing, I feel like timing matters, and that might be an understatement to be honest, but I think, whether it's when you're, uh, it goes even beyond just like when you're going to release something. It could be even just the timing of something as what seemingly as small as, like, meetings and whatnot, because we all have different schedules when we run this business, and we need to like get our timings on track so we can actually meet and talk about things. I also feel like, timing when it comes to obviously releasing collections. You don't want to rush things, but you also want to be on top of things that are happening. So to find that sweet spot is kind of tough sometimes. And as well as, I think, especially in the clothing business, when it comes to like printing and whatnot, just like I feel like Eruj can go into more of the specificities of this, because I feel like he's better at talking about it. But in terms of like in printing, when it comes to like having to make sure that some tones of like your design are like the same as other tones, making sure that, you know um it falls within certain like color requirements, like, that you might only be able to have like a certain amount of colors on a design. And I feel like sometimes people don't realize that if you want to get like different types of printing done, you need to meet different types of requirements,
Hmm.
when it comes to like the intricacies and the nuances of like those types of printings. But I feel like, yeah, Yours can elaborate more on that, and I might have missed some things, but yeah.
Okay. No, I mean that's good perspective. And I mean, turning it over to like the other side of the coin, like what would you say has been the best part about having your business with you guys?
um Okay, first thing, I think for some reason Eruj disconnected, but yeah, but so you said what was the best? Sorry, could you repeat the question one time?
Yeah, no, you're good. And for anyone listening, Eruj did drop from the call, but he might be joining us back. But if not,
Yeah,
we'll ride it out. But
yeah, for
it,
sure.
anyways, the question was, what has been like the coolest or best part about having this business together?
I think the best part is, at the end of the day, I get to be very like, I'm very grateful for the fact that I get to run this with, even if we weren't family. I feel like life has a funny way of working out, and I feel like even if we weren't family by blood, we'd be family by relation in terms of like being friends. And I think that at the end of the day, I'm very, very proud and very grateful to call this man who I run this business with my brother. And I guess something that's something I'm very like thankful for, and it's very great to be running this business with him, because brothers fight. Everyone knows that, but I feel like running this business and just having, working through like both trials and tribulations, like things get hard sometimes, but it's always sweet at the end when it comes out, like all the hard work you put in, and maybe some doubt you might have had about whether this would work out or what would and wouldn't work out. It comes to
Hmm.
fruition in the best way possible, which is kind of just getting your work out there and getting recognition for it. And I kind of going back to what you said, I think the best part is just at the end of the day, having the opportunity to work with your family
Yeah.
and the opportunity to kind of like build together and kind of start from the ground up and start something that has really not been done before, and start something that was kind of untapped. And looking back on the end of the day, like Irich said, like looking back to see that like you guys at the end of the day, all you have in this life when you leave is like your name and what you did here
Hmm.
and your legacy. So I feel like being able to do that with someone who's, I'm not only very close with, but is obviously like my blood, is very like, it's a big thing for me, and I'm very
Yeah.
like proud and thankful that I can do that every day.
That's awesome, man. And
Uh,
you guys have talked about just having that connection, and because you're brothers, because you're so close, you know each other, you kind of know each other's ins and outs and the way you guys think and work. Is there anything that you might have learned from working together and starting this business that you're like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that he, like, was like that," or something? Anything kinda, like, funny or surprising come up?
Am I back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're
back.
back.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
Okay.
good.
Okay. Do you mind if I answer that horse the best question really quickly?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So I think just to answer this question with a little bit of brevity, worst has definitely been timing because as a
Okay.
brand, there's different things. You try to think outside the box. So for the Jokic collection, we wanted to do canvases, we wanted to do trading cards. I mean, his moniker is literally the Joker, so
Mhm.
we thought we have a Joker design um, centered around like a card, and we that's a completely separate design from the main one. We wanted to try out doing two designs this time, a main and an alternate. And we put it on a trading card and it turned out great, but we got it from a supplier. So imagine if that didn't turn out, God forbid,
Mhm.
then it all falls back on us,
Yeah.
Printing wise, we've worked with different printers and just seen what works with best with our vision. And I think that's super important. But a lot of the times you don't know until you actually have the product in hand. Thankfully, everything has worked out so far, but even our Kevin Durant collection took way, way, way longer than expected. And obviously, running a brand it's all on us because we chose that printer, so we need to take responsibility for making sure that happens. And screen printing is an art, so hats off to everybody that dabbles in that screen printing, any type of printing. The guys who do it are absolutely amazing. They're geniuses at their craft. So, I mean, we thank them every day for their hard work and for printing our shirts and getting them out there on time. So, yeah, and I think the best thing has also been dealing with everyone and making those interpersonal connections and relationships
Mhm.
along the way. I mean, literally, I mean, that's how we met you and everyone
Yeah.
alongside, and everyone after that's going to be the same way. I think just connecting with people that you never thought you would, and sometimes in the same market, sometimes completely different markets. But I mean, everyone needs clothes at the end of the day,
Right.
so inevitably, and especially with something that they align to, with a movement or a vision that they kind of just go along with, I feel like that's awesome.
I love
Just
that. That's
connecting.
awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your last question?
Yeah, so the last question was just, like, has there anything that's been, like, interesting, funny, unique, you've learned about each other from working together?
Furzaan, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. I guess. Well, I guess something interesting is that I guess since I've never really seen my brother, I know it might be kind of weird to say, but I've never seen his like work ethic when it comes to things. I feel like something interesting that I've learned about him is that we're kind of similar in the way that sometimes when we want to put our mind to something and anything that we want to put our mind to without at the risk of sounding cocky, I feel like we can get it done.
Mhm.
And seeing his work ethic was kind of inspiring because it was like it made me. I feel like it made me better as a person all around, just because it's like this guy's out here going like just as hard, if not harder than you. So why can't you? And it kind of just inspired me to become more of a hard worker, I guess.
Okay, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, Eruj, I don't know. Do you have anything that that you learned about me that's unique or anything like that?
Right now, we're kind of, and it's a great excuse to use because we're dealing with Ramadan right now. So we're
Yeah.
in a period of like where we're fasting and we're waking up at 5:30, 5:40 to eat. But with Farzan and I, we really don't wake up at that time. We just stay up and put it into, we just indulge in our work.
Yeah.
Like I said, almost to a fault. So it's been, um, I mean, I've learned a lot to say the least, just about himself, about our partner, and myself. And I feel like sometimes, like I said, the best teacher is ourselves when we go through something.
Mhm.
So we've learned a lot just dealing with certain collections, whether they went better than we thought, whether they didn't go as well as we thought. Um, and yeah, I feel like we'll keep learning a lot going forward. And a lot of the stuff we've learned along the way, I can't even begin to, like, I didn't even think we would learn this much going forward. I thought it would just be straightforward, but nothing is straightforward
Right.
in any business, in any creative outlet like this. So, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I think that's awesome, and it's cool to hear just how you guys have grown together and learned, and your partner too included, in what you guys are making and putting together with Vengeful. I think is really awesome.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So one of the kind of last questions I have for you, or kind of wrapping it up with
Yeah.
questions, is to anyone listening who wants to start a business of their own, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Just don't get discouraged. I think that the easiest thing is to get discouraged when you find out the little nuances along the way. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, just setting up the legalities of the business. It's so much more than you think. I mean, I bet we've all had probably one out of every five friends we've had has wanted to start a clothing brand in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And it's about what you do to kind of, I mean, so many people say they want to become a musician or become a YouTuber or become a streamer. We always look at individuals in that light. A lot of the times, even the individuals who post content now in today's day and age are deemed and coined cringy. You know, at some point, our favorite content creators were one of those cringy individuals that people like to look at and we're like, oh yeah, they're cringy or they're corny. And it's just consistency. Consistency is key. And um, it's just doing what you love, no
Hmm.
matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone thinks. I think for anyone either trying to start a business or pave their own way, I feel like it's so important to be different and just do what's right in your heart, whatever you feel is right, and that's the right way to go. um I support everyone 110% of the way. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like just that individuality is unique. I mean, we all come from families and we have those same values and cultural values as them.
Hmm.
But I think that individuality and uniqueness is just runs throughout everyone, and everyone has the ability to just be different, and I love that.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's an awesome thing. It's definitely something that we all need to tap into. Just be yourself, be unique, be different, and do your own
Yeah,
thing. And don't compare yourself to others or what other people are doing. Just go out there and go after what you want to do.
yeah,
Awesome. What about with you guys moving forward with Vengeful? What can we expect? What's coming up? I know you mentioned some pop-ups. I know you always have some collections in the works, but any big goals or anything that you can share with everyone listening about what to expect with the coming months, coming years with Vengeful?
Um, well, I guess I can start. I'm sure Eruj will chime in more after I say this, but I think just look out for more. I think stuff towards like summer, geared
Hmm.
towards summer more as like the summer months start coming. We're kind of approaching May now, and sun's starting to come out a bit more. Weather's starting to get a little bit nicer. It's like less of hoodie season, more of like shorts and tank tops, shirts, stuff like that. So just look for more stuff geared towards that. I know with like we kind of mentioned the Pistons thing that we
Hmm.
were gonna give you a preview of this, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's also in the works. That's on the way, and we got a few other things on the way. I know the Tigers just started playing, so
Hmm.
that's a little hint right there. But
Okay.
I don't know, Eruj, you got anything else to say?
yeah. I mean, we want to be able to showcase and just kind of have that brand awareness. So we have a pop-up coming up April 23rd at Eastern Market. That'll be a little low key, and then we're gonna preview all the details and designs for that soon. And I think we might have the same designs at April 29th. We're actually gonna be at SneakerCon, somewhere
Okay.
that we grew up, and just really, I think a lot of sneaker culture obviously stems from basketball.
Hmm.
So just grew up and completely fell in love with sneaker culture and basketball
Yeah.
simultaneously. So we have pop up April 23rd, April 29th. Same designs. We'll be previewing, I think, two new designs there.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, two new designs, one old one, and the old one will be the Lions one.
Okay.
So getting all that done, but I think just going forward, we really just want to create that uniqueness. I know I keep reiterating that, but something that no one's ever done. For example, like
Yeah.
just different markets that no one has ever done. Maybe like I don't know, like just off the top of my head, WWE,
Hmm.
UFC, F1, just things that like are going on in the sports world that are gaining traction. And not only are they untapped, but just something that we're garnering a love for and appreciation for. Because at the end of the day, you said it, like it does stem from the designs that we've wanted to create, but really it is for the community, and that
Yeah.
community deserves more than just what they're getting. And I feel like hopefully we can bring something to life. And a big part of it was our first collection. Our designs were super small. So we worked with different printers and whatnot to kind of make them come to life. Instead of just a picture on a shirt, we want to make that design encapsulate that moment. I mean, like, moments in sports are literally a part of our life. We remember where we were at that exact moment, or even musicians. We remember exactly where we are when we're listening to that song, what we were going through. I mean, like, for example, if we make a shirt with Giannis doing that block on DeAndre Ayton, I think it was, that's a huge, huge moment. I mean, a moment that people are Bucks fans especially remember forever. You never forget when your team was the championship or your artist drops that favorite album of yours. So I feel like we just want to nostalgia too, you know. So our Ben Wallace design has the Palace of Auburn Hills in it. So that's a little, yeah.
Oh man, I love hearing you guys talk about this. It's exciting, and as someone that loves sports and just pop culture and things going on in the world, music,
Yeah.
it's just cool to hear what you guys are all cooking up and just to see, you know, what you guys have accomplished already. And I know the sky's the limit, so I'm super excited.
Thank you so much.
Of course. To anyone that's listening back home, where can they check you out? What's the best way to keep in touch and to see everything that's going on with Vengeful and be kind of up to date on all the details?
Yeah, so all of our socials are Vengeful Detroit,
Okay.
and TikTok, Facebook. It will TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. It's Vengeful VENGEFUL Detroit, all one word. So that's the best way to check us out. We're really active on Instagram. Obviously, it's the best way to showcase our designs, post our pictures, but follow us anywhere and always ask us. We love hearing community feedback. We love doing polls. We love doing
staying in
content.
touch. We love, like, just if you guys want to, even if you guys just want to talk, we have a Discord server for that too. And even just in general, you know, we always, you know, we love responding to messages. We love kind of talking to, because like we said, you know, everyone who even interacts with us, buys a, you know, shirt of ours, buys any part of a collection, they're all family to us. So, you know, we love reaching back out to our family and just talking to them.
Yeah, I mean, even we have a contest going on right now. First persons who, and we're gonna keep doing contests. We have fit contests in our Discord, everything. But our first main contest was anyone wearing a Vengeful shirt at an NBA playoff game will get entered into a contest and receive a voucher. And then another one we just put a story poll on. So that's a post and just seeing if we should restock any designs. I know we always say we're not going to restock, but recently with the way it's been going, we would love to show some love to the NBA playoffs. So yeah, so that's kind of what to expect going forward.
Awesome.
That's going to follow us. But I mean, thank you so much for this, Zach. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Can't tell you how much.
Seriously, thank you so much.
And we learned so much more than you think from you. Can't wait to keep in touch with you in the future and get these to you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, thank you guys so much. And I'll put all your socials for Vengeful Detroit in the description. So anyone, you know, if you didn't catch it, we'll put it down there so you can go there, check it out, tap in, reach out, let them know you heard them on the podcast. Let them know any ideas that you have for future collections or just any thoughts that you have. But definitely, you know, get Vengeful Detroit on your radar. They're doing some great things, and you know, I'm excited to see where the future takes you guys. And you know, likewise, it's been a pleasure having you on, hearing your stories, hearing what you guys are doing. And I know that the sky's the limit. I'm excited to be in your corner and to support you guys. So, you know, I learned a lot too, and I'm going to be, you know, repping you guys and supporting you as long as I can.
Thank
so,
you,
yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you,
Zach.
Zach.
A lot. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Of course. All right, you guys. Well, thank you again. You guys have a good night, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Thank you, man. Zach. Hopefully we can be back sometime.
Yeah, you guys are welcome anytime.
Thank you so much, man. All right,
of course.
care, man.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Thank you.